Hello everyone. Myself Harish Kumar. I'm from India. So today for the session we are discussing about database management system. So before going for scale class and all, let's see what are the basic terms which are related to DBMS. First we'll start with those basic terms, then we initiate. So before going for DBMS terms and all, let's see the different generations of various computers, how a computer evolved among various generations. So we have first generation, second, third, and fourth, where in first generation they concentrated on this file structures. It's a physical file where if you want to store certain information, we used to store using that what do you call normal simple file. That it happened in 1960s. Later in 70s, they introduced different models, different data models they've introduced in 70s. Then after 70s, they are not happy with those data models. Then they came to, relational data models. And after that, after 90s, we have got the concept of this object-oriented programming and all. So from there onwards, from 90s onwards, this object concept and all, it's moving. So I'll tell you the different things and all. Okay, that's about the evaluation. So data. So before going for the way of storing the data, let's see what are the different terms associated to data. So what is data? So data is nothing but some part of information. So some part of information, we are calling it as a data. So for that information, let's assume, okay, let's take this example. Let's assume there is a college where in a college, we have some 100 students. So 1 second. So we have some, okay, let's take an example. There is a college where we have some 100 students. In that 100 students, I want some X student details. So out of 100 students, I want to get one particular student detail. So out of 100, that's nothing but a unstructured data. So from that whole content, I want one particular student details. When I want one particular student details, that is nothing but an information which I'm fetching from you know uh, information what I'm fetching from whole data. So that is an information from raw data. We are trying to get some part of data. So that is nothing but information. So now for this information, we are applying a rule. So when you apply rule to an information, then we are calling it as instruction. So for information, you are applying a rule, then we are calling instruction. Now, set of instructions together, we are calling it as program. So a program where set of instructions together, we are calling it as a program. Let's take this example. For example, your mom or maybe your dad ask you to, you know, do some certain tasks. So you have some list of tasks, maybe some 4 to 5 tasks are there. So when you have certain tasks, so what you do, task or any work. So sometimes we can't remember the thing. So what we do, we take a piece of paper, we write down each and every task on a paper. Once you write down each and every task on a paper, then based upon your availability time, we execute those tasks. Okay. Now, so your mom or your dad will, they'll tell you to do certain tasks. So now that is nothing but set of instructions. So they gave certain instructions. So you are performing those instructions. So that is nothing but a program. Either you maybe you're going like you're going to college, maybe your school, or you're going to get some grocery items. You don't have fuel in your bike, and so on. So these activities, when you write it on a paper, so they have given certain instructions. Those instructions, you are preparing it as a program. Now set of instructions becoming program. So that program only, the program you have to execute it, because you have written everything on a paper. And if you are sitting in your home and if you are not going out to perform instructions, then there is no point in writing it. So you have to execute it. So set of instructions, we are calling it as a program. A program, when you are executing that, we are calling it as a process. Now, set of programs together, we call it as a software. A software is nothing but a set of programs together. We are calling it as a software. So you know the unstructured data. So unstructured data means there is no rule. So from that unstructured data, we want certain details, that is information. Out of 100 students, as I said, I want one particular student details, that is an information. That information, you are applying a rule. When you apply a rule, that is becoming instruction, and set of instructions is nothing but a program, and so on. So that's about software instructions, and those are the basic terms. Now, this is the data. Like, as I said, whether it is a program or data or anything, this data, I need to provide security to it. So I need to provide security. So when I want to provide a security to data, first I should know how to store it. I can I can provide a security to data only when I can you know when I can store. So there is a data, the data, I'm storing it at somewhere else. I'm storing, I'm retrieving, these different kinds of activities we are performing on data. So, excuse me, yeah. So I'm performing certain activities on data: storing, retrieving. Either I can delete, either I can update, I can perform any operation on one particular data. So I'm performing different operations on data. Now, this data, I have to store it in one particular format. For example, there is a textbook. Let's take one example. There is a textbook where you don't have any page number to it. When you don't have any page number or anything, it is difficult for you to search for one particular topic. So when you have data, it is difficult for you to search one particular topic. Now, in that scenario, what we are doing, we assign a page number, so that it will be easy for us to search. That means there is a data without a page number, that is unstructured data. For that particular data, I'm applying a rule called page number. So when I apply a rule, it will become easy for me to search for some particular information among complete data. Just like how we are storing, data with some page number on a textbook, just like that, I need one particular format to store data anywhere, maybe in a computer or anywhere. So if I take a physical file, for example, if you want to withdraw a cash in a bank or something from a bank, in olden days, like we have to visit a bank, we have to show the passbook. When you show the passbook, then they'll be asking you your account details and all, and whether you want to withdraw or deposit or whatever the action, whatever the transaction that you want to perform, you have to visit a bank, you have to show the passbook, then uh, they'll enter your account details physically, or manually they enter those things in a physical book. So that physical book, practically we refer it as file. So that is before, in a first generation computers, when they are handling this first generation during 1960s, they used to handle this physical files. So there are some disadvantages with this files. So this information they used to store in terms of records. Okay, let's assume a record one, record two, record three, and so on. Like a, different account holders with different account numbers and all. So there are some problems with this files. So there is a management system which will handle this concept, is nothing but files management system. So what is the problem with the files? Let's see. So for example, if a file is physically available, because human beings will do mistakes. Sometimes what will happen when they are about to enter the account details or something, instead of entering 1 lakh, they may add zero, or they may reduce 1 0. So that what will happen is human beings are bound to do mistakes. Sometimes these things will happen. So then what will happen? The data confidentiality issues and data inconsistency, other things comes into picture. So when you're handling data, I have to provide security to data. So when I want to provide security to data, so what I have to do? So when I want to provide security to data, file, physical file. So human beings will do mistakes. So when human beings will do mistakes, what will happen? So when human beings will do mistakes, we cannot trust human beings. So that means if, for example, I have one of my friend in a bank. So let's assume I have 10,000 in my account. So at that time, if I give some bribe or something to my friend, what will happen? There may be a possibility that particular friend may add two zeros. So then instead of 10,000, my income becomes maybe some 10 lakhs or 1 lakh or something, whatever number increases. So then I can't trust people. So there is a issue of data confidentiality. I can't trust anyone. Then even for data also, certain permissions need to be given. So I can't trust no one. So then what will happen? A accountant or maybe a clerk who is working in a bank will not have right to withdraw some 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs from bank. I mean, because the manager or someone will come into picture, they will help you to get that bulk cash. When you want to withdraw bulk cash, basically the manager or some uh, authorized persons only will give this kind of what do you call they can only do that kind of transactions. So there is I can't trust people, so there's a data confidentiality issue. So whatever the data that is, see, big or else when I talk about manager or someone, there is a problem with data integrity, because I can't trust people. Everybody will have their own certain rules and this responsibility. So that is there we are that is data authorization, because account holder level is one particular level itself. He can't go and he cannot give a permission to withdraw some 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. At certain extent, based upon his limits or based upon his privileges, he have a right to perform certain transaction. Okay, that is we discussed data confidentiality, then data authorization. Now next comes data integrity and data redundancy. Data redundancy. See, the concept of data redundancy is, if let's assume I'm maintaining a file. Okay, in a file, let's assume in a bank branch, let's assume there is an Andhra bank where we have some thousand account holders are there in one particular X branch. So then there's an inspection, or maybe for some reason I have to maintain this record. I have to maintain a backup. Let's assume there is maybe some any hazards, any physical hazards comes into picture, maybe earthquakes or maybe tsunami kind of things. Any natural disasters happen, then what will happen? These physical files will be damaged. So what I have to do is, just for safe side, I have to maintain backup copy, backup copy at some other place. So now what will happen is, same data, I'm maintaining it different. I'm maintaining a number of copies. So that's the concept of data redundancy. Or else you're not able to understand data redundancy concept. Let's take another. Let's assume you are a business person. So when you're a business person, you roam here from Hyderabad to Bangalore to Chennai. You have some X amount in your bank, in your bank account. So you have to withdraw some money. So one of your friend deposited some Y amount in your account. So from Hyderabad, travel to Bangalore. Let's take this older days concept. So you have to you travel to Bangalore. From Hyderabad you travel to Bangalore. Now in Bangalore, you have to withdraw some cash because of some emergency. Now what you do? You have to go to the local branch which is there in Bangalore. Now you go and you show that passbook. Then what will happen is, this particular Bangalore branch fellows will call to Hyderabad and they'll find out the account balance. So when they get the proper number, then what will do, whatever the transaction that you want to, whatever the amount that you want to withdraw, if it is available in your account, then